Hello and good and good evening. Excuse me. It is Wednesday, October 20th, 2021, and we just finished watching episode 5 of Survivor season 41, The Strategist or the Loyalist. I'm Dave Mader, joined with my brother Jeff Mader, and we're without Jameel Robinson, who is running around tonight. Here, streaming live on Super Mader Brothers Podcasting on Facebook, YouTube, and on Twitch. Or you might be listening to us on the audio version. Welcome and good evening. We're going to be breaking down this episode, talking about it, and also eulogizing the most recent Survivor castaway to be had their torch snuffed out. In Jeannie, Jeff, she didn't go for it. She didn't play her advantage. Her Hail Mary. She thought she was safe.
Yeah, this green tribe is puzzling, to say the least, Dave. I do not understand why everyone is trusting Shan and Ricard. They seem to be the most snake oil salesman's type Survivor players I've ever seen. What's going on? I don't really understand.
They're vets now. They know how to vote out people. They said those blue tribe people, they wouldn't even know how to vote out people.
I think they're right, is what but it's saying something about that blue tribe, because we haven't seen them go to tribal yet. But once we do, I do feel like you're going to see one after the other get picked off. Like, I think that Shan and Ricard are going to go far in this game, and they shouldn't. They're not that good of players. They really aren't, and it's like completely obvious tonight, like when we saw the whole conversation with Ricard, and Shan has been trying to pull the same trick 3 times in a row, Dave, where it's like, give me back the vote. Why is everyone trusting this girl? Like, she's a good manipulator, I'll give her that, but she's not that good. Like, Ricard held his own tonight, and he was like, no, which is what JD should have done last week, which I missed.
Yeah, JD. Well, did you think were you giving props to Shan for the last episode where she, managed to get that out of JD? And did you think that was impressive?
No, I thought it was unimpressive how terrible JD was at the game. You hold on to the vote, you go to tribal.
When he got tricked by Sari and by Parvati, he was equally as bad.
See, I was saying to Amanda, I compare it more to the JT handing his immunity idol over to Russell moment. But that one was more forgivable for me, because that one was like, he wasn't on his tribe. He was out very much on the outs of his own tribe in Heroes Villains with the heroes. It was kind of like a last ditch effort to switch tribes, and it didn't work. Russell just took him to the cleaners. And that's kind of how I feel about the Shan player. I feel like Shan and Ricard are very much got the Russell Hantz in them. And I think at the end of the day, I do prefer watching players play like them. But you have to, for me, it's like the nervous energy has to go away. Like, I actually prefer Ricard as a player than I do Shan. I find Shan very much this erratic Vanessa Russo type. What do you think?
I think that's a fair comparison. If we were to compare Big Brother players to Survivor players, I could see the similarities. I think in some of the emotional aspects of how Shan is playing. I think in particular Shan's sequence tonight, where she went with Leanna to climb a mountain hill, wherever they send you here. It's season 41. Apparently, It's just like, you got to do cardio. We need you going uphill for 3 hours. That's how you're going to bond with somebody, and it seems to work. At least you get to know people along the way. I agree with you. I think that Shan is kind of a player, and Shan and Ricard, and how they kind of ran this green tribe into basically the ground. They were just kind of on the losing end constantly. And just to go back to Jeannie, let's just hear what she said. Who's even going to watch that fire? She thought she would stay just because she tends the fire.
I had a feeling that this was going to happen. I almost played my shot in the dark, but I feel like I did play a pretty honest game, and I should have listened to my instinct instead of trusting other people. Man, I actually kind of hope it rains on them tonight, because I know nobody's going to tend that fire.
It came down to the strategist. It came down to Shan. Do you keep the strategist or the loyalist? She wasn't interested in the loyalist because
What more did you need, Jeannie? Like, they blindsided Brad, your closest ally. Then they blindsided one of their closest allies, the next tribal council. And then you're like, I'm trusting them? Why?
Yeah, I don't know. I was as confused as a goat on AstroTurf, Jeff, about the whole thing, really. It's almost like broccoli or little trees or something like that.
I don't know. It's like I'm talking to butterflies and their dead relatives. That's what it feels like to me, Dave.
Well, of course. Yeah, like, I don't know. Jeannie, not a very good Survivor player, Jeff, and probably better off that we lost her here.
And like Amanda said, because we watched the last 2 episodes back to back, and I kind of agree with her. As much as JD was kind of driving me nuts, and he would have went home here anyway. I kind of would rather have watched him for another episode here in this 3 situation than Jeannie. I think it would have been more entertaining. I think they made it easier on themselves getting rid of JD in the last tribal. But man, did they ever suck, this Green Tribe? I mean, I was
you go the Al Pacino.
Yeah, that's what I said, man. A scent of a woman tribe. What is going on though with this blue tribe? Like, I don't even like, who's the woman in last episode that couldn't throw the ball and go get it?
Oh, you're talking about Heather.
Has she been on the show?
Well, she's Jamil's final draft pick. She was the last to go. She was the last pick of our draft. So Jamil actually got stuck with her just because nobody wanted her and nobody even knows she's really on the season that much.
But like, has she had a confessional? Like, honestly,
I can't recall one. Can you? No, I don't think so.
What
other than I think she had one maybe after the challenge, right? Just to say about how hard it was.
Is she really that bad? Like, why are we getting like 25 Evie confessionals and like 100 Shan confessionals and nothing from Heather? Like, Heather's going home like next episode or something.
Heather, her time is coming, man. Just wait. You know,
she is not long for this game. Let's face it.
Yeah, so you want to talk Luvu tribe though, and what's going on with that? Because they can't lose. They have the threat of threats. Sydney,
I am like the threat of threats.
Of course, and you know she's out there catching fish. Jeff, tonight she's got that little spear. You saw that Nasir. Let's come on. How could you not love Nasir?
He's a great Survivor TV character. I see why they casted him for sure.
I'm like, yeah, that's amazing. That's music to my song.
Music. Yeah, no.
Music.
Yeah, he's awesome. I mean, as far as the TV character, I laugh at him, but in a nice way. Like, I don't, like JD, I was laughing at him just because I was like putting my hand over my face half the time. Like, how are you this stupid? I want to see Shan try and pull off some of the things that she was pulling off on.
Yeah, this blue tribe hasn't really had their moment because they never got to go to tribal. They've been such like a comp, so savvy in comps. Then you got like Danny and Deshawn, who are like pretty good competitors, and they're like, we should just lose just to get rid of Erica because we don't trust her, and we've had to live her. How many days are they now in? I guess 11 days they've been out here, right? Yeah. So at this point, this blue tribe, they haven't got to go to tribal. They've never had a torch, any of them, after 11 days. That's pretty incredible.
Yeah. See, here's the thing with this. I don't like throwing of challenges because of Deshawn's reasoning here, where it's just like, well, she's sneaky. It's Survivor. They're all going to be sneaky. Like, you don't throw, to me, I don't like this. Like, only reason you throw a challenge is if you absolutely know a player is like going to betray you. She was like coming to him in confidence saying like, hey, like she was kind of shy. It seems like at the first she was quiet, didn't really know what to do. I think that was the interpretation that I got from her. And then she's like, okay, I'm going to start playing. And Deshawn seems like the guy I want to talk to. So then she went up to him and then he completely went behind her back and threw her under the bus, because of her personality, basically. And, so I don't like throwing challenges for the reason that he was. What about you? What do you think?
Yeah, I wasn't fully with Deshawn. The only thing I thought his only strong argument from a strategic standpoint was, okay, well, once we do merge, and they were feeling probably, this was a couple days ago, right? That they voted out JD. So this is like 2 days ago, and he was like, even like day 9, he's like, okay, if let's say Blue Tribe goes to this merge completely intact, right? Let's say it's next week. It could be 7-6, right? And then all of a sudden we're a minority technically. The other tribes could get together if they merge at the wrong time. If green and yellow got together against blue, that's a possibility, right? Because they'll say that we don't want to be picked off by the blue tribe. So he was like, if we go down a number here, we kind of diminish that threat, right? We all of the surviving blue tribe will just be not quite as they'll be in such of a hurry to start targeting us just because there's so many of us.
It's a fair argument. But at the same time, it's silly in the idea of Survivor, because in Survivor, as much as like there's precedent where the tribes with like where we have right now with Ricard and Shan, and they're going to go far or whatever, that's because most of the time the tribe that has never been to tribal doesn't know what the frig they're doing, and when they get to a major merge tribal, they all turn on each other because there's just all those seeds of doubt that have been creeping in there from the pre-merge that ends up they tear each other up. So he's just exacerbating that just early. Like he's just doing it early, and I just
cannibalizing themselves too early is not worth the juice is not worth the squeeze. You're saying
what he should be doing, I think, is picking 4 to 5 people within that tribe. Right, and saying we're strong no matter what. We are voting together at the merge, and that's it.
If you're Deshaun, who do you think that is? You think that's he thinks that's Danny and him, and I guess Shan is the other person he trusts.
No, not Shan.
No, not Shan. I'm sorry. What's her name? Sydney.
Sydney.
Right. Yeah. And then
Nasir, they can bring on.
I guess Nasir, but they don't even know. Like Danny said tonight, I don't even know if I want to work with Nasir.
They should work with him. Because, see, the thing is, I think they both need each other, so that's why I think they should work with each other. Other than then you have to just like bring Erica on your side. Then
what's wrong with Erica? Why do they hate Erica?
Because she's sneaking around trying to vote out members of their own tribe. Like that's why. Because she's trying to talk behind people's backs, and when
you're doing it about her.
Yes, but when you do it in a big group of 6 and you do it on a one-on-one, and you're like trying to institute this master plan, you come across as like too smart for your own good.
Playing too hard, going for too hard.
It's like she's playing too hard too fast. Like she's not that she's doing the wrong thing. Like she actually waited, but her tribe just has not gone to friggin' tribal, so she hasn't had a chance to really play the game. So she's gotten restless. They're on like day 12 or whatever it is. And she's like, I want to start
today. 11, the one we just watched with Jeannie was 11. So
right. So you know what I'm trying to say?
Like like day 8, they've been out there a week, and come on, like if we do go to tribal, Deshaun, why don't we vote out Sydney? And he's like, maybe. And then he goes, he runs off to Sydney. Oh, she wants to vote you out. And he's like, I would much rather work with Sydney than with Erica for whatever reason. I'm curious to why you think he rejects Erica.
Because I think it's 100% based on personality.
Meaning what?
I think he looks at Erica as somebody that is a sneaky, intelligent player that will backstab him later. And
what does he look at Sydney as? As
a dumb, loyal player that you want to ally with, which, she's very egotistical, very full of herself. She thinks she's great.
I'm savvy as hell. I'm good looking. I'm a physical threat.
Right. And Erica is too smart for that stuff. She doesn't have really an ego on her. She's actually shy, from what I can tell.
Maybe too smart. Too smart. She intimidates Deshaun.
I think that's kind of what's going on here. Yes.
Right. Okay. And so, but Jeff, if let's say that Danny and Deshaun are kind of like the blue power duo, right? And then they have Sydney along, and then they go, well, we'd like to have Nasir as our 4th. Because we don't trust Erica, but I don't know about Nasir. He's like, he won't throw challenges with us and whatever. So what about Heather?
See, yeah, and like, why? That's the thing is what I don't like about this blue tribe is they're not showing me where Heather stands in this tribe. They're not really showing us because they haven't gone to tribal, and really the only way to tell is votes. And we saw it with this green tribe. You would think anyway, the way they voted. you would be able to tell who's with who, but apparently not. Apparently, Jeannie couldn't figure that out. And also JD also couldn't see it coming that Shan is the type of player that will vote somebody out, Brad, to take his advantage. And then, you don't think she's going to do that to you too? And then Ricard, you don't think Ricard was the only one who was smart. He was the only one who was like, no.
This is a weird conversation.
Yeah, it is a weird conversation because she keeps trying to do the same thing over and over and over, and it's worked. So I don't blame her. But like, man, that's aggressive, and like, I don't think that's going to work in a big tribe. I think that only can work in a small tribe.
Okay, let's talk about another tribe. Let's talk about Yasi. What's going on with Yasi?
Yasa has been a disaster in challenges this entire season.
Right, exactly. Thanks, Jeff. Yeah, so we got Evie over here, and she's working her alliance with Xander, but she's saying that's not real. I'm really tight actually with Tiffany and Leanna. Tiffany and Leanna, right? Meanwhile, we got Tiffany and Leanna over at the fire, Jeff. And they're kind of worried that Evie's actually playing them and working with Xander. And so Tiffany's saying to Leanna, why don't we go after Evie? And then Leanna's got her own ideas about things, and she actually would rather maybe work. Actually, I think she'd rather work. She's more kind of with Evie, right? And she thinks Evie's actually to come.
I think Leanna wants out of her tribe and wants to start working with Shan. But we'll get there.
We'll get there. We have to climb a mountain to get there. Yeah. But yeah, so there's all kind of like, and they went while they're off, like it was sorry, what's her name? Evie and Xander go off to the well, and she's talking about all his advantages, the fact that he has this unactivated idol, that he's lost his vote, but he has this extra vote, these things. And so Tiffany and Leanna are just like, oh, we're gonna go through his stuff while they're off at the pit. And meanwhile, we're cutting through this clip where Evie's like, well, did you bury it, or did you put it somewhere they can't get it? He's like, oh, I'm gonna do that later, actually.
Yeah, he's a dumb idiot. Like, I mean, there's a lot of dumb idiots on this cast, Dave. Like, they're really bad Survivor players. It's embarrassing. Absolutely. All of them. JD, like even Shan, she's like a dumb player. Like she's working. It's working. Her manipulations are working, but it would not work in Cagayan. It would not work in a different season. Like They would look at her like a crazy person and vote her out right away. But it's working in this season, and it's troubling to me that we are getting this new brand of Survivor where the players suck, and it's just like, I don't know. Like sometimes
the threat of threats.
I am like the threat of threats.
Do you see what I'm saying though? Like, do you know what I mean? Like some of these players are just like, I don't know where they found these players as far as like game savviness, but man, it's on the low end. It's like at a 2 for me. As how how good, like the best player is like Ricard to me, and he's like a sash type player from Nicaragua, and he's just like, that's not a good barometer to be at. I don't, you know what I'm saying? Like,
I do know what you're saying. Yeah, but I think that they maybe do that on purpose because they don't want. If it was all like super fans, it would be a little bit not so fun to watch too, right? You want
It's not about being a fan or not being a fan. Like JD was like a huge fan. He knew all the players. He knew, you know what I mean? Like he loved Wu and all these different players. But you know what I'm trying to
be smart, to be strategic.
I don't want all of them to be, but there's gotta, like, I don't know, like just common sense. There's certain things here where I'm like, really, Jeannie? You didn't see it coming? Like, roll your dice. What do you have to lose in that situation? Like, yes, your vote, but you think one of those people was voting with you? I think she honestly believes Shan was voting with her tonight. And like, this is what I mean by savviness. Like, just
just not able to read people, right? Like they just almost like, and I think that's why Shan was like, well, maybe, okay, what are the pros and cons in her confessionals tonight where, why work with Ricard or why work with Jeannie? And she's like, the only reason is to work with Jeannie is because she's just stupidly loyal. And she'll do whatever I ask her to do.
Yep.
Right. So that's not a terrible asset. But
No.
I think she was like the strategist or the loyalist, and the strategist is more valuable to her. Because she, even though he wouldn't give her that advantage, which, you know what, I think she would have tried to vote him out if he had given it to her.
Oh yeah.
I think just she couldn't resist. Right? She's got that crazy clown. It's a shame.
Yeah, and her whole story about like being in a gang, getting out of that. Now she's a pastor, and it's just like everything about her is just like she's born to be this like manipulator and survivor.
She's got quite the story, I gotta tell you.
Yeah,
you know, she's from Canada, isn't she originally?
Oh yeah, I believe so. And then she moved down to DC, I believe, when she was.
But she said she was a foster kid, and like she had like this very like interesting life. It sounds like she's been all around, cross borders, and everything else. So yeah, and now here she is playing Survivor, and yeah, she's a memorable cast member. And I think that's, you know, isn't that the main role of casting, is just to make sure that these people are fun to watch. And I haven't been bored, even though I'm frustrated by players like Jeannie, and even JD and these others who just get like their dumbasses voted out week after week. But you know, maybe that's part of, on a week to week show, it's not so as bad as like on Big Brother, where we're watching it drawn out.
Yes.
Over such amounts of time. You know?
I'm so reminded, Dave, this season of Nicaragua. Like, dude, did you watch that season? Do you remember that season?
I don't, not by name. I couldn't tell.
That's the one where Fabio won. Okay.
Yeah. So
and
I watched a little bit of it.
Okay, so it was the first season right after Heroes versus Villains, which is very similar to this season, which is the first season right after Winners at War, right? A big, huge, fantastic all-star season, right? And it has like the Sash character in Ricard. It has like the Fabio character was sort of JD, but JD's out now. But Fabio had more sense than a JD. Like he was at least a little, he was a much smarter player, but not a good one, but a much smarter player than JD was. But you see here a lot of parallels to Nicaragua, where it's just not a great season, but some memorable characters that we won't forget. You get toward the end, I think we're going to see kind of a standoff here between, I think what's going to happen is you're going to see Ricard, you're going to see Shan, you're going to see Evie, and you're going to see Leanna take over this game. Those four players, you know, so
they'll run it once they get control, or once they can get together with each other. Yeah, and I think, okay, so if you're thinking like a producer, like a Survivor producer, okay, you're coming off a season, Winners at War, or in the other one, Heroes versus Villains, where you have like all of these all-star players going at it, right? The savvy players, and you're saying, okay, for the season following that, we want, you know, a whole new crop of players, and we don't want them to be the most strategic. We want them to be sort of bumbly. This is only going to make our really good players, the ones we just showed in the previous season, seem even better than they, you know, as bigger legends. So when we bring some of those people back in the future, they'll see even like smarter than any of the, you know, compared to like, you know, Xander, perhaps, right? Does Tony look like a genius compared to Xander now?
I think any player on Winners at War looks like a genius compared to any of these players.
Even like even a Shan, even a Rick.
Yeah, I don't. If Shan was doing some of the things that she's doing in this season on Winners at War, they would vote her out so fast it would not even be funny. Like they would never. They would laugh at her for like, here, give me your advantage. Give it like. And they also wouldn't do what Jeannie's doing, like when she finds the Beware thing. I found the idol here.
Oh, yeah, we didn't even talk about that. She brought that out to them, and she gave it to them. And then they're like, "Let's not open it." And then they went behind her back, Jeff, and then they used it anyway. And then they didn't tell her. Like they were not very kind to Jeannie in this episode.
Oh, okay. So do you remember Brenda she played with in the I believe it was the Fans versus Favorites 2. Remember her? She was on Nicaragua. Here, she's the Asian girl that you probably
let me pull up the cast.
I'll pull up the cast. Brenda was very much like the Shan character here in this season.
We have to see if these parallels are true. Where's my cast here?
We had a Marty Piombo. I remember him. I think he was. I don't know if we have a Marty on this season, but there's just a few players that stand out that the parallels definitely work. I can't remember some of these players getting as far as they did. Yes, Holly Hoffman. It was an older cast. We had
Jimmy. I remember Jimmy Johnson when he played.
Jimmy Johnson was on it. Yeah, he went out like third or something like that.
Yeah, he went a third. Tyrone, Jill,
So Brenda, remember her?
Brenda.
So right here, Brenda Lowe. She also
sort of.
She played a fans versus favorites.
I remember Nayanka
quit. Purple Kelly quit.
Purple Kelly, yeah, okay.
Yeah, Benry. Okay,
Lambo.
He actually went pretty far. He was actually the only rootable player really on this season.
All right, who's Sash? Sash is Rickard?
Sash is Ricard. Like, they are so similar as far as players. It's not even funny.
Who's Chase?
I don't know if we have a Chase on this season. Like, maybe it might be like a Danny or a Deshaun that ends up kind of being that player, but I'm not sure yet. Chase
Lembo was 63 when he played.
Oh, and he was crazy. Like he like
63.
He was. He had one of the most memorable final tribal speeches too, because he really gave it to Sash. But yes, Fabio won because he kind of did. He pulled a Mike Holloway and won a lot of the last challenges. I think he won like the last 5 challenges to win the game. And he just kind of played the dumb surfer dude up until like the final 6. And then he just went on a comp run and then won. And he wasn't supposed to make it to the end. And everyone was kind of pissed at him, but everyone was more pissed at Sash. And then Chase, I was surprised Chase didn't win the season, because he actually was like a country music star now anyway. And I think he was pretty likable, but Fabio, I guess, was more likable. But that was kind of that season. And to me, like, I just see a lot of parallels here with this season to that. Like, I don't think this one's going to go down as a memorable season, but there's some characters that I think are unforgettable.
I think there's some amazing characters in this cast.
Yeah.
I think that, we have some sort of not so interesting players, but like, I think we're losing a lot of them here. Right.
Yeah.
And maybe that's a good segue to kind of just quickly update our draft board and look at who's on the board with these players and who's not. And just, Jamil, who is not with us, he had Genie. There was 8 people in our draft, and 2 of them, Daryl and Jamil, they got 3 each because it didn't divide evenly. So here we strike through Genie. He also had Vochi, and Heather is the other player he has. Heather is who's this possibly a dark horse player for Luvu, but maybe not, maybe a dud. We have Danny, Jeff. We have Xander. We have Rickard. These are all sort of interesting characters to me. I think that all worthwhile players.
I don't know. Xander Dave is a dime a dozen. He's the Fabio. Sorry, Xander is the Fabio of this season. That's the best comparison. Sorry, I can't believe it.
So hopefully he doesn't win, right?
Yeah.
But while he's around, he's an interesting kind of dumbass, I think, at least. Right? Then you got Tiffany and Leanna. I think they're both really interesting in their own ways as players. Like,
Tiffany is really interesting. She just
more than Heather.
Yeah, well, they're not showing Heather. I don't even know what she's like.
At least Tiffany's entertaining. Heather brings nothing.
That's not. I don't think that's her fault. I just think that's the producers. There's no reason to tell any of the stories on Blue. Like, I barely know Danny as well. You know what I mean? Like, the whole Blue tribe is just kind of like, other than Nasir and Deshaun, we really don't know any of those players. Even Sydney. Yes, we kind of get some glimpses, but
I am like the thread of threads.
All I know with Sydney is she gets upset because you can't use a flint properly. And that she's kind of like full of herself, Heather, it's all I know about her is that she can't throw a ball and run through some ropes and catch it. That's literally all I know about her.
I'm just saying that don't write off Tiffany. Even though she can't do anything, she at least is an interesting player to watch on TV.
She is. She's good, but she's just like doing a lot of the eye rolls and just kind of like I don't think she's a savvy player, Dave. I think she's
I don't care. I don't care if she is. Like she's just a chaos element in this game that I find
she's kind of a chaos. She's kind of a chaos cast, I guess, in a little bit. Chaos cast is a little smarter.
I don't need them all to be savvy players. Like some of them just can be sort of like I don't know. Some of them can be Tiffany's. I will just describe them as that. Like Leanna, comparatively seems like a more savvy player, a more strategic player, one who wants to think about this game, right? And I think that's a fun player to watch too, but in a different way.
Well, okay, can we talk about the advantage that she got here? Like,
I think steal an advantage or whatever it is now.
I don't like this. I mean, I don't like the concept of this. I really.
She's gonna use it on Xander, probably, right?
Right, but not that I think Xander. I just don't think this is fair. Like and now I know that the advantages are never supposed to be fair and all this stuff, but like you have this immunity idol thing where it's not even valid, and then you make these.
He has no vote, but that will be like the funniest thing with Xander is that he could never catch a break. He was always sort of down.
But like, the game screwed him. Like I don't think that's fair.
It giveth and taketh away, right? With
it's
Xander,
not Big Brother. It's Survivor. It
gave him an extra vote, and then it tried to give him an advantage, and then the Blue Tribe was late finding theirs, and then he's giving things away. He's giving information to Evie that he shouldn't be. Vochi gets voted out. It's been rough for Xander. Okay,
it has been rough. You're right. It's been rough for Xander.
And I'm okay with it because he's the Fabio. We don't want him to win anyway.
Right.
All right. And then, Leanna, I think I agree her advantage is maybe too much, but we'll see how she uses it. I think it's going to be interesting to see how it actually gets used or not.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then Sydney, who, of course, threat of threats, right? Is still in this game. And then we got Evie, who I think is interesting, I think is more her own worst enemy is a strategist, but we'll see. And Jeff, you have Erica and Deshawn who don't seem to like each other.
No,
very much, but Erica, we don't know. Erica, we just know is on the outs with the Blue Tribe, but that's all we really know about Erica.
Only because Deshawn has willed it. So outed it. Yeah. Right. Like I think Deshawn, I think he just is trying to make sure that nobody comes after him or Danny, and he's just trying to make sure it's Erica. He's just picked her as the target, and because she's the quiet girl, and that's part of the problem. If you do play like that, if you go in there and you're quiet, you don't say much, you can get that. Like we need to get a girl out. A lot of, like Danny said it tonight, a lot of guys are getting taken out. And we probably should take out a girl. And Erica just makes more sense because Sydney's a little bit more erratic, a little bit more predictable.
Heather's not a threat.
And Heather's not a threat, I guess. I don't know. They don't show her. She's basically Purple Heather. She's the Purple Kelly of
Blue Heather.
Blue Heather. Yeah. Yeah.
All right. And then Jeff. Okay. My picks. Okay. We didn't talk a lot about Deshawn other than you're not super thrilled with him, I don't think, like how he's playing.
I think actually he will do well, but I don't think his decision here is smart.
Okay. And then I have Shan and Nasir in this draft. Now, those are two of the three who have now these idols, these three-way idols that got activated tonight.
Yeah.
With the secret phrases that all came through. I'm just gonna take this down because I was so excited, Joe. I thought it was not gonna happen. It was the suspense. I have the clips.
And I didn't realize it until just now, but broccoli are just small trees.
We're a little rough. I think, we're all just trying our best. We have no rice. He was talking about ladybugs being his dead relatives or something.
Actually, I said I truly believe that butterflies are dead relatives saying hi.
Oh my goodness, we're all going crazy.
That was actually really smart, the way they set that up, by the way.
Well, what did you think about how they were schooling Jeannie before this, like Rickard and Shan? It was almost like they were cruel because they were like, we are so much smarter than Jeannie and we can convince her of all these things. They're like, what if we actually try to pull it out of that Xander kid by saying what Brad said? And she's like, oh, that's so good,
It was painful. Dave, it was painful how little awareness Jeannie had.
I'd say it's good that we lost her because of the players.
That's a good point.
just going through, I'm like, Tiffany's an interesting player, and Leanna's an interesting player, like, and even Shannon, Rickard. Rickard is this guy I'm rooting against, but at least I'm rooting against him. It's something. He's pulling something out of me.
Yeah, I know. I agree. You could see it pain them to have, like, when they lost the challenge, to have to get rid of Jeannie, because they were like, oh frig, like, we just worked this.
She was a loyal number for us, and
she was never going to betray us. They were more worried about JD than her,
right? And they kept her, right? And now it was all for naught.
It was all for naught, and now they're alone, and now they're going to have to do this from the bottom up.
And maybe they would have won if they had voted out Jeannie and kept JD.
They might have. Yeah, that's a good point. He might have been, I don't know. He kept screwing up every time it was a clutch situation. He would fumble, every single time. So I don't know if they would have or not.
But Jeff, how good was this moment with Nasir when he was? We didn't know it was coming. Like, we didn't know.
No, that was fit. That was yeah.
All right, Jeff. I am as confused as a goat on AstroTurf.
I was like, yes, Nasir!
I loved Xander's reaction when he said it. He was just like, his smile was so perfect. He was like, yes.
I never have to say this butterfly thing again. Actually, it's dead relatives, whether you're butterflies or whatever.
I truly believe.
I truly believe.
Yeah, so I think that was the thing I really enjoyed, was Xander's reaction, because he was like, "Finally, I'm not at the mercy of these three girls on my tribe that think they can just, they know they have me,
Right?
Like,
I have no vote even, and now at least I have my vote back, right?
And an idol.
And an idol, yeah. I think you get your voice back, which I think is just symbolically so important, And Nasir was just like,
it's amazing, but you know what? I love this game. This is the reason I love this game. Always something new, and it's never easy. You have to work hard to get it, but that is why I'm here.
I hope he wins this game, honestly, because I think he's the most like a Tony. Like, he's the most eccentric. He's the most kind of colorful TV character I think we have on this show this season. I kind of hope he wins. I'm kind of pulling for him.
That's music to my song.
It's music.
That's music to my song.
He's awesome. Like, I mean, really, like, I don't know if he's smart enough to win, but I hope he is, because I hope he's underestimated.
Yeah, it's all gonna be about, like, when do they think they have to get him out, and like, will there be bigger threats and whatever. But the whole challenge tonight. What did you think of the challenge competition? We haven't touched on that.
Which one? The one where it
was all the same. It was reward and immunity together.
Okay,
right?
I watched 2 episodes back to back, so I was thinking about the one where they tried to throw it and then he didn't. Right, that was the last episode.
Yes, you were thinking about that one, and then this one was only 3 people could compete from each tribe, because Green only has 3 left. Right. And it really. Yellow ended up coming first, and then blue. It was actually to the target first. Nasir, man, that guy pulls people through challenges. Like, he's just like, we'll go, we'll go. And he's like, this guy should get like 1 million job offers after this, because who wouldn't?
I agree. The guy is outshining an NFL player,
right,
in these challenges. I think it's also bothering Danny a bit. Like, that Deshaun wants to throw these challenges so bad, and Danny's like, I'm an NFL player, and this Nasir guy's like willing us. He's just outshining me.
He's just shaming me. Like,
Yeah,
as a professional athlete, this would be a sin.
Right, Danny?
I think Deshaun being on Danny's tribe is not good for Danny. I think it's good for Deshaun. I don't think it's good for Danny, because like, he's a great shield for Deshaun.
Yeah, and so they get through this whole thing, and there was one part, they had to knock the things off, right? There was like the whole that came down with blue, and you had to do the slingshot to knock the thing off the post, and it came down with Rickard and Danny couldn't get it, and then Nasir just jumps in and he gets it, right?
Yes.
Again, showing up Danny, and there was like this whole slow motion thing with Rickard where it went on his face for a minute, and there was Shan, she's like, no, and all that.
All that stuff was great. And like this Green tribe, I'm like if you had told me 2 weeks ago before I watched these 2 episodes that it was going to be back-to-back Green Tribe losses, I would have been like, great, perfect. Because I honestly, I was disliking this Green Tribe so much. Like, not that they're not good characters, but they're just like, I feel like we're going toward kind of the coach season too, where it's like we're going toward this fake family. You're my best buddy. I've known you for 10 days though. It's like, come on. Like, there's some stuff going on like that I feel like is a little like, you're my best friend and then I'm gonna like literally get you to give me your advantage and then stab you in the back. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I don't like that kind of stuff. Like, but I get it's effective. Like,
what Shan did to JD, you thought was maybe.
And hey, I thought I was happy he got his comeuppance, but I know, like, and I would be okay with it if I felt like her move was smart. I feel like she was just like, and I would probably do the same thing, so I'm not blaming her. But JD was such a gullible bad player, and then Jeannie too. Like, what really? Like
but that's it. It was like, I think once Shan and Rickard have to play with better players, they think that they might be overconfident too.
Yeah,
right?
I'm excited to see how that works because this kind of happened in Nicaragua too with Sash and Brenda. They literally did the same playbook where Sash would tell Brenda what to go do. Brenda would go manipulate everyone and it would work to a T. And then eventually they caught on to Brenda and they voted her out, but Sash got to go to the end. And that might happen here too, where Ricard goes to the end, but Shan doesn't, because Shan is putting herself on the front lines. And they kind of mentioned it tonight in the Tribal Dave where like, I'm the one that comes up with the master plans and then Shan goes and executes it,
Right. Well, the whole choice to go to because at the end of the challenge, Yellow got to decide what was going to happen. So they decided to send a member of Green, Ua, to like the hill. We got to climb the hill for 3 hours and get the advantage. So they kind of like, it seemed like Leanna kind of created this for herself. She's like, let's send Shan and then let's send me. And that's exactly what happened. Kind of following what Deshaun did some weeks ago. A little bit of a similar move here.
And I think Xander was outvoted and Evie and Tiffany just were like, yeah, Leanna, you go. You know what I mean?
They backed up what Leanna wanted here. And so we got the whole like Leanna, because Shan was panicking right away because she's like, well, those two are going to talk about me the whole time. Right? Which of course they are.
And she didn't like Dave, she didn't like the fact that here's two situations here. One, if Jeannie rolled her dice, then it's a 1-1 vote. It's a Ricard, Shan, and then they're going to rocks, and so she could use her idol and then Ricard goes home, but she didn't want to do that,
or use her extra vote,
or use her extra vote. Make sure that Jeannie goes, but the thing is no. But if Jeannie had rolled her thing, she was safe. Like, you know what I mean? Like if she had rolled and got in it safe, she got
that advantage so long ago that I don't even remember how it works, what the rules of it are fully, but
how she didn't use it. Like, how did you not listen to what Shan and Ricard were even saying to each other
in that tribal?
Yeah, like right beside you, they're talking about how we voted together the whole time and I come up with the plans and Shan executes them. And she was really hoping that Shan was going to
this was an act.
I don't know what she was thinking. I would love to hear her exit press a little bit just to like get
Jeannie's wanted to vote at Rickard from the first tribal. Remember, she voted for him way back, like a throwaway vote that wasn't it wasn't even organized. And that was the thing about this whole Ua tribe is they were rarely ever sort of all on the same page. And now they even went down to 3 of them. 2 of them know how to work together, sort of. But Jeannie's always been sort of like this odd player in the mix, right? And so they don't, Shan's separated and she gets to go off Leanna, which she's happy about because she wants to form this connection with Leanna. And that seems to go well for the 2 of them.
Does Ricard get jealous if like the Shan and Leanna thing becomes more of a title or alliance than he has with Shan? I don't know. I could see that happening.
I could see that happening too. I don't think he would be shy about it.
No, I don't think he would be either. And I think he could end up going home because of that. Because I think she will ultimately pick Leanna over him. Because that's the type of player she is. Like she is about emotional manipulation. And Ricard, that doesn't work on him. You know? Like we saw it tonight. She was trying to emotionally manipulate him again. And he was like, no. You know, he did the one smart thing. I was like, all right. Actually, I was starting to cheer for Ricard. I'm like, all right, I think I'm going to go for Ricard now because at least he was smart enough to be like, no, Shan, I'm not giving you your advantage. I have no incentive for me to do that.
I have that whole clip here.
It doesn't seem you feel stupid.
I do feel stupid, but I still want the advantage back because I don't.
So you'll have two advantages. You'll have the credit for all the advantages. You'll get the choice between the two of us because she's going to.
How do I know you're not going to blindside me?
Because I'm not.
So are you saying you're not giving it back to me? Is that what you're telling me?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what he's telling you, and he's
tomorrow.
Right.
I'll give it to you tomorrow.
He shouldn't even do that. He should hold on to that and not give it to her. You know, like too bad. You already have two advantages. You have an idol and what is it? Another extra vote.
Yeah. Well, I think Shan's been getting her way on this tribe for a long time, for 11 days, I guess. And so she wants to keep that going. She's used to be able to, she asks JD for something, he gives it to her. When Rickard doesn't go along the same way, she of course doesn't like it. And she's going to see if she can push a little harder and get her way. She's testing that boundary here. Right. Yes. But, this whole, I don't know if I like it or not. This whole thing where they go to like the climb the mountain hill though, where Leanna and Shen went, right? And they, basically she's like, I know if I protect mine and you risk yours, you'll get the advantage. So that's what we should do.
I don't
and
like
sometimes
any
I think
of that either,
like,
yeah, but go ahead.
Do I like it or do I not like it? Because this allows these two to work together, which I think I kind of like in the show. But on the other hand, they're gaming it because like the fact that they know exactly how it works and everything else is kind of a letdown too. So
no, that's the worst part. That's on the show. Like you can't. I think they shouldn't climb the mountain together.
Mary doesn't think it either.
I think if you're gonna climb the mountain, they should climb it separately from two different sides of the island. Meet in the middle. They're not allowed to talk. And then they go make their decision. They're not allowed to talk. But that's what I would rather. But they like this cross tribal connection and they want to see what happens. And I get why they
twist
do
it. Like have a twist to it where like there's something different each time. Like or they don't know. Okay, I protect, you go, and then they know how it works. Right?
It's too much of an advantage. Like they have all these like disadvantages. Yeah, they should change it up. Thank you, Mary. Like, but they have all these disadvantages with these beware. Like we have like poor Brad got friggin' no vote. We had Xander go through a couple tribals, no vote. Like, and then Shan's like swimming in advantages.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of bullshit. It's bullshit. Like pardon my French, but like, come on,
she's doing it, man. She's that's Shan.
That's fine. I have no problem against her. I don't like the fact that she's got kudos to her. Like it's very much like what Russell Hantz did, where he was able to get advantages from people and get them just to give them to him, and then he went and played them.
Yeah, she's good. But I understand when you're saying she's kind of like a Vanessa from season 17 of Big Brother.
Yeah,
but she was also an effective Big Brother player.
She was. It works, and it works especially in a smaller tribe, or a smaller group. Like Vanessa almost went home at the beginning of Big Brother 17 a lot. Like she was like, everyone was like, this woman's like playing way too hard
and way too emotional and just the emotional weight of some of the conversations. But she was eventually able to lure enough people to her side that she had the numbers, and then she was able to go after certain people, and that just went on for a while.
Yeah, and that's what Shan is playing, a very much like a Vanessa Russo game. And I do think that I will not be surprised if she finishes third or fourth, because I think eventually she's going to get to a point where she's not in the driver's seat, and then she's going to get cut. Because I think she's going to get all her advantages right up to like that final 6 moment, and that'll keep her safe until then. And then she's going to get to like 5, 4, and then I think that's when she's going to get cut.
Yeah, that might be true. Yeah, just this whole thing where like she finally did get back there, and like this could have been more. This was interesting, I thought, with like, okay, Jeannie and Rickard and Shan all want to make their pitch. I think anytime you have like a tribe of 3 here like this, it's kind of an interesting dynamic in terms of like, I don't trust you and you don't trust me, and you have like sort of a Mexican standoff with the votes. However, 2 of these people have been like, they've been fooling her for the whole episode about, oh, she found the advantage and we're going to tell her not to open it. Actually, we are going to open it and we're going to plant a fake idol and we're going to get her to like be the one to antagonize Xander, and all they have all like, ultimately they get her to believe that she's not the one getting voted out, not to use her advantage either.
Jamil, if you're watching, who is a worse Survivor player? Is Jeannie a worse Survivor player, or is Big D a worse Big Brother player? Because I think there's some argument to be made.
Ask Mary. We know she's watching right now.
Yeah,
so.
Mary. Who is worse as a player of the game, of what their game? Survivor for Jeannie, to me, I thought JD was bad, but Jeannie proved to me that she is so bad at this game. Like truly, like,
JD.
Damn, that was a good blindside.
Thanks, JD.
I liked when he got taken out. I was happy to see him go. But man, you're dumb. Man, that was a dumb move that he made.
She says Jeannie
is a worse player.
Is a worse Survivor player than
Big D is. I think I agree. Jamil would disagree. I'm pretty sure.
You're not a fan of Big D, and nor am I, per se.
I just think if you're talking about gameplay, like, I don't think Big D would have, if he was playing this game of Survivor, there's no way.
He'd be like, when I formed the cookout.
So I formed the cookout to make that goal happen.
Because I'm back on the block. Yeah. I just don't think you would have been able to do what they did to Jeannie here to Big D. I just don't think it would have worked. I think he would have saw past it. I think
I'm back on the block again because I'm from the block.
Yeah. And while we're on that, there was that whole time where Leanna and Shan were up on the mountain or whatever,
right?
And they were like, "We got to do it, man! We got to do it!" And I couldn't help but hear
"Do what you need to do"
in my head during that from Big Brother 23.
Well, like literally, they had like known each other for like an hour. And by the time they got to the end of it, they were crying. I guess they were talking about her mother who died, and that is sad. And
they like instantly became friends. Like they communicated in very much the same way and everything. But
I think so, and I think they have very similar. They're from the same town. They're both from DC, so like there's I get it. There's some similarities there, but like it was a little bit over the top for me.
Yeah, they both are from DC, aren't they? Okay.
Yeah. So
Big D made it to the final 2, and she hated Big D, but she's
better player.
Better player. Big, you get to the final 2, you're good at something.
He did something right, maybe it kind of failed upward, which it happens in these games. But not this game, I don't think. I think you're going to see a lot of the cutthroat gameplay once we get to the merge. There's only a few players that I think are going to be like a Jeannie, like a Heather.
And on that, because like the whole thing, we kind of talked about the Jeannie vote out here quite a bit, so I don't think there's a lot more to talk about there. But in the next, like the next time on Survivor, we hear
everybody drop your buffs,
but not so fast, Jeff.
It's a sword.
You are. Exactly.
Damn it. There has never been anything like this. Oh my God.
They kind of bust your possibilities wide open.
Okay, this is what I think's happening. The green tribe and the yellow tribe are merging, and the blue tribe staying the same. That would make it 6 and 6.
Or maybe. Okay, that's not a bad theory. Okay, I could see that. But it's not quite a swap, but kind of is. It's a semi merge. But why tell blue to drop their buffs then? They wouldn't need to drop their buffs.
That's true. Maybe just for show. Just so they could do that tease.
It's probably more likely. I think it's more likely that they do some kind of a swap here and redistribute the 12 players. Because you're right, we have 12 players now.
I think so, yeah. Because there's 2 on the green, 4 on the yellow, and 6 on the blue, I believe. Right.
Right. Okay. So do we split into tribes of 6 here in some form? Or could it be that somebody's going to be sent off to Exile Island or something like that, and they'll join the tribe after the first vote out or something? Or
what about this? 3 tribes of 4.
3 tribes of 4. She's saying maybe they pick the eggs or they pick the buffs off there. No,
maybe. But like it's weird with the way Jeff kind of was like.
Well, you're sort of merged, but not quite.
To me, it's kind of like
how are you partially merged?
I don't think you are. I think the only way it could be happening is like, all right, green, you're going with yellow.
That's not a bad theory. I think it's an interesting one. And then blue just continues to win, and they never have to go to tribal until.
All right, let's break this down. If green goes with yellow, okay. What's the dynamic with like the Tiffany's of the world and the Eevees once Ricard and Shan join with Lyanna? Because they're gonna join with Lyanna immediately, and because she has that advantage that Shan helped her get, and then they're gonna work Xander, and they're gonna make sure Xander answers correctly at travel, right?
Well, okay. Are there gonna be two at the end or 3 at the end? So I'm trying to figure out when are we going to jury here.
I think it's going to be 10.
So you think it's because Survivor had? When was the last time they did Final 2 instead of Final 3? Like it's been a long time.
Cagayan.
Right? Cagayan was the last time.
Yeah.
I hate the Final 3. I think it should always be Final 2.
I agree. It should be Final 2.
But they haven't done a Final 2. So
I think they're going to do Final 2 this season.
So if they do, then you only need 11. You only need 9 jurors, right? Because you don't want to tie in the jury. So therefore, somebody has to go before merge. So somebody's getting voted out here before they are officially merged.
I think the next episode is the last episode before the merge. And then, they're going to do 2 and 11.
But maybe maybe there's some kind of a challenge here. And then the bottom 2 have to fight it out for the last spot.
That'd be weird, but maybe.
Because I think maybe we're right. Okay, maybe this season it's a Final 2 because they said it's a whole new era of Survivor. So that would be that would be a big change up with the game format to do a Final 2 instead of a Final 3. To go back to that, which I think is always better. Even if it's a goat.
Final 3 is stupid.
A goat on AstroTurf, whatever. It's fine, and because the Final 3, because there's just a third lame duck who just like screw this person. Right. But when you have Final 2, there always will be a devil's advocate argument for even the dark horse candidate, even you have when you have a Victoria for a big brother standpoint. Right. So
the reason why they brought in the Final 3, Dave, was because one of the main reasons is Rob Cesternino. Rob Cesternino kind of got screwed out of the winning Amazon because of a blindfold Final 2 to get to the Final 2.
You could say that Rudy got screwed out of winning.
Yep, Rudy. He was another one. There was a bunch of them that kind of happened.
But that's the great thing about third place is that's where the greats who never were go to die.
Yeah, and sometimes it's
that's where Vanessa Russo ended up. That's where
Enzo,
Enzo, and these, all these Big Brother players we're referencing. But yes, I think that the third place tragedy is Sister Nino is another example.
Chaos Cast.
And so what? So you get this result where you maybe get 2 legitimate competitors possibly in the Final 3. So it makes the jury maybe seem more interesting, but in my experience, it's not. We've seen more and more of these votes be very lopsided.
Oh, actually, I was wrong. The last Winners at War was the Final 2, was it not?
No, it was the Final 3, I think.
Who was the Final 3? It was Tony,
and I have to go back. Sorry.
Sorry, I kind of interrupted, but I thought. Let me look at it 1 sec. Natalie Anderson was Was it a final two between Tony and Natalie Anderson? Or
No,
was it...
there was a third. There was a third. She was there too. Hold on.
Michelle Fitzgerald.
Michelle.
She sat in the final three with him. Oh yeah, she did. Yeah.
She was second runner-up. She got no votes. So that's the same thing, right? Like that was the last time we had. So who cares about second runner-up? You ought as well be third place. At least the third place got to vote in the jury.
Yeah,
you know,
and some of the best, like the best betrayals are the person,
who is just cut. So I think it's a mistake, right? Yeah. So then you would need to you have to cut somebody here before you can actually have a full jury start. But if they don't do that and they do keep it as final three, then the jury technically starts here because you'll have a jury of 9 with 3 finalists.
Yeah.
So that's what's to be determined. But I don't know. I don't understand you partially merge. So you maybe live on the same beach together, but you're not a tribe yet.
Oh, they're gonna one world it. That'll work. That'll be great.
Gonna one world it. And just the way they talked about, I gotta play the clip again because I just gotta understand what the heck that was being said here. Like they're like, it's all these new possibilities.
You are. Not exactly.
Damn it. There has never been anything like this. Oh my God.
They kind of bust your possibilities wide open.
Never been anything like this.
Yeah.
So it can't be one world.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what they're gonna do, but I'm concerned. I hope it's kind of the green merges with the yellow.
Best case scenario, Heather is somehow cut out of this. She never goes to jury. She's just like an afterthought of this season. And remember when Heather kind of disappeared in between the jury segment?
Yeah, they're like they did. That would be great. Like she's just like, oh, random medevac, Heather.
She went off to Exile Island and was never seen again. There was also sort of somebody said there would be people quitting this season. We haven't seen anything like that yet.
See, that's what I'm kind of maybe wondering if Jeannie's wish for the rain to come was a proclamation of maybe because that's what again, Dave, what happened in Nicaragua. Nayanka and
back to Nicaragua.
And Purple Kelly ate rain for like a week straight, and they got so cold and they were such babies that they got to a point where they quit. And Jeff, if you want to watch a moment where Jeff got pissed off, it's the tribal where both Purple Kelly and Nayanka quit at the same time. Oh man, he was pissed.
Nothing he could hate more, right?
Nothing he could hate more. You saw it. You saw maybe again tonight last week's episode was a little bit of foreshadowing about Heather because she did the ball and she couldn't do it and she was crying and like they kept repeating the most important thing you did was you didn't give up, right? And
we really are in a new era because old Jeff would have been like, you need to dig. You're holding your whole tribe back, Heather. But now he's he's not quite as
that's not gonna last. That's a serenity now, Dave. Insanity later. That is not going to last. I know he's saying he's turning this new leaf and he's new Jeff. He's got long hair. He's a cool guy now. He's understanding. Well, let's wait 5 years and see if he's like that in 5 years.
Yeah, we'll see. We don't have a. Will he ever say coming in, guys?
Come on in, guys.
I think maybe that's dead because he can't go back on that now. Because
Rickard called him on it. So
it was never made any sense to me. I always thought it was a ridiculous thing he said because they're outside.
Blame Rickard.
Come on in.
I feel like this is a weird conversation.
Yeah, it was Rickard. Yeah. Anyway, so okay, that's about it. I think in terms of this Survivor episode, and yeah, we're also kind of catching up a little bit on the others. We used to talk so bad about them. I loved it. She's talking about the old seasons. I've only watched seasons from season 7 from 19 to 26, says Mary.
Season 7's a great one. And okay, so she's seen Russell Hantz and she's seen both seasons. Actually, all 3 seasons. The third one was didn't work out.
No, not his greatest moment.
Well, I mean, that one could have been a good season, but his tribe just decided to take him out.
Yeah, by that point, his reputation was
right. That was part of it, but they should have used him as an asset against Boss and Rob ran circles around all of them, you know. And if they had Russell there, he could have helped them, you know.
Right.
He would have been like, Boss and Rob is manipulating all you guys. I should be the one manipulating you. You know, that would have been the whole thing, you know.
Hey, Hans, shut up. Hey,
hey Hans.
Hans.
What are you doing over there?
And Hans. No, he would say like Hans. Oh, no, I can't even do it. Okay, anyway, so we're going to close the book on tonight's episode. Episode 5, The Strategist or the Loyalist? The answer, it was The Strategist. That's who she picked. The clown music twice in a row where Shan had to basically decide who went, and her tribe is almost down to nothing, and she's sort of gonna merge next week, and the three-way idols are in play. The all three tribes found their idols and they've been activated, so get ready for that. Maybe Leanna's gonna steal it from Xander, maybe from somebody else, who's to say. Lots going on in this season. We got we're not, I guess we're about halfway through. I don't know how many episodes there are going to be total, but it's been fun so far, that's for sure. Okay, I'm going to sign off for tonight, and thank you for watching. Thanks for the comments. Regrets from Jameel Robinson. We'll be back with him next week to talk about it. And also check out our other shows. Super Mated Brothers Podcasting. We talk about all kinds of stuff, including Big Brother, who we alluded to many times tonight. We just did season 23 of the American version and season 9 of the Canadian version earlier this year. You can also check out some other shows, including, what do we talk about, Jeff? We've talked about The Serpent. We've talked about Westworld. We've talked about other shows like that. They're clamoring for us. They're Marvel. If you like Marvel shows and Marvel movies, we talk about a lot of those. We're going to be talking about the Eternals soon, I would presume. And we need to talk about the Marvel What If series as a one-off podcast. Need to get that scheduled. But also Tiger King. And Jeff, I heard that there's going to be a new Tiger King coming.
Yes, I saw that today.
Return of Carol Baskin.
Our friend Jody. Yeah, it should be Tiger Queen. That should be the new.
That should be the new. The sequel should be called Tiger Queen.
Yeah.
That would make sense. We'll see what that's about, and we'll probably cover that because we did the first one, and it's one of our most viewed podcasts of all times. So you should check those things out. Plus, we have another channel called Live Long and Podcast. That's our Star Trek themed channel where we talk about Star Trek all the time, new and old. Monday nights, we're talking about Star Trek the original series. We also talk about Star Trek Deep Space Nine, usually on Tuesdays, but that was on Monday this week, and moves around. And also, we just talked about Star Trek Lower Decks, the whole second season. We're going to be, we talked about all individual episodes of season 2 of Lower Decks. And on tomorrow, Thursday, we're going to be doing a deep dive into season 2 with a whole bunch of our other Live Long and podcasters, including Jody Simpson, Ed Woodward, and others, to break all that down. And then in a week's time, Star Trek Prodigies will start up. On also streaming on Paramount Plus and on CBS or CTV Sci-Fi Channel in Canada. Not long before we will be talking about Star Trek Discovery Season 4, which will be starting up November 18th. Jeff, there's so much coming up in Star Trek.
Very exciting.
You know, and I hope that there's Survivor fans out there still listening that are interested to hear that. Plus, check out our Star Trek Radio Theater. And all kinds of Star Trek podcasts over there on Live Long and Podcast, plus Trivial Debates. That's our third channel where we argue about movie, TV, sports, and more. That's the last Sunday of every month. We're going to be talking about that on October 31st, which is Halloween. I believe I will be hosting that episode. And I don't have a panel yet, but we will get one, and we'll put that out there. And check out my son's podcast. It's called Let's Talk About Fighting Games. You can find that on Spotify. My son Eamon Mater. And also we have our cousin Davin, who has his Star Trek channel called Locutors of Trek. And I was just on that on Sunday. I won the whole Star Trek trivia. You should check his out as well. He's going to also be talking about with Star Trek Lower Decks with us tomorrow on Live Long and Podcast. Okay. I think I'm out of breath. So we're going to leave you here tonight Maybe with my favorite Jeff Probst clip, we're going out with the Outback steak and the pineapple Rita. This was the true era.
Wood fire grilled Outback steak, plus the brand new Outback Steakhouse margarita, the grilled pineapple Rita.
My favorite part is like the transition where it goes, the grilled pineapple